Hey, today I'm going to cover, take you guys through the four values of Agile. So, in 2001, there are like 17 great leaders in the industry. They actually came together and they want to just find, why we're not able to deliver software on time with high quality. Yeah? So they kind of looked at few things which are common and which are not working. Yeah, which is okay, which is good, but not so bad. But something better than that probably is working for them. So they looked at these four items and individually they actually tried few of these in their own practice, in their own project, and they found that this is actually giving more value to them in producing a good software. So so that's how this whole Agile Manifesto came up, right? So I'm going to explain this with some non-software example. Yeah. So, for example, let me start with the third one. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've created and I've come up with my own example. So that example actually, and it's good to start with the third one. Yeah. I built a house, and the third one is customer collaboration or contract negotiation. So I built a house some time back, and so I found a builder, and then we came up with a good plan, good contract. We signed up actually a contract, yeah, a good contract, saying that this is the rate per square feet for certain conditions. Yeah. So we started building the house. So the contractor started building the house, the builder, and after a month or so, one and a half months later, we actually reached a stage where we were about to put up a roof. Yeah, so he came up with a suggestion. He said there are two options. One is we go by contract. The contract says that go with a normal roof. The second option is go with the roof, which is actually a hollow roof, which can reduce the temperature by at least 5 degrees inside the house. So it looked interesting for me. So I said, okay, why don't we go with the second option? So actually we collaborated so well, and then we actually identified the right way of doing it, right? So the builder said it's going to be a bit more expensive. So I said it was okay because it looked like that solution is better than what we actually signed up at the beginning. So the customer collaboration is definitely more powerful than the contract negotiation. Contract is required to start with, but just going by contract is not going to help us in building a good software. Yeah. So let me now jump on to the first one, individuals and interactions over process and tools. So at one point in my house that was getting built, there were like 50 people working. So there were people who were actually building the structure, the people from architecture group, there were people for the electricians, the plumber, who else? There are quite a few people. There are like bunch of people working together. They had to work together to build a good house for me. They could not work on their own individually, so they had to interact. So the simple, the mechanism that the builder used is bringing all of them together on a daily basis and saying, okay, what are we going to do today? Right? Are you going to build this wall? So are you going to, are you going to design the electric cables here? And if so, how do these two people work together? The plumbing. It has to go inside the structure. So actually that interaction was so powerful that I got a very clean, neat house when the house was complete. So there are processes and tools. They're important. Right? For example, we use a lot of processes in the mailing process. There are some system to keep the defects tracked, so on. They're good to have, but just relying on process and tools is not going to help us. We are humans, right? We are humans who are building the product, so it's important that we interact a lot better, like very closely, and build the product. Yeah. So let's move on to the third one, working software over comprehensive documentation. So there was a lot of documentation work was done initially for the house that I wanted to build, but whenever the house was complete to some extent, I could go and check how was it working. Is it good enough, right? Okay, the room was built, the hall was built, the roof was built, right? The basement was built in the first. So everything we could literally see that it is okay, it is built and it is standing on its own and it's working, right? We actually built room by room by room. When the house was complete with the architect, I painted one room completely and just to see how it's looking, and then we went to the next room instead of just doing in parallel for all the rooms, right? That actually helped us because the moment I got a feel of like the room with the painting and the texture, I thought, okay, I can make some more difference in the next one, right? And then we went ahead step by step. So that really helped. So since in software, it's very important for us to have something working at every time, right? In every sprint or every day, right? Instead of just having a lot of documentation. What's the point in having a lot of documentation like requirements document, PRD, the high-level design, the low-level design, a lot of code written, but nothing is working. What's the point in having the software which is not working? Instead of having all the documents, all the code written for 100% of the features and nothing is working, better to have 50% of the features really working and that can be shipped, right? So that's the next one, right? Let's go to the last one, right? Responding to change over following a plan. So we actually, when I built a house, when I started with the construction, we came up with a plan, right? We definitely came up with a plan. The plan was that there should be a hall, there should be a kitchen, there should be 3 bedrooms, and maybe a little bit open space in the front and the back, right? That was all the plan that we had. And then we started actually building, right? And then we went ahead saying that, okay, now what should be the square feet of the room, right? What should be the square feet of the kitchen, and what should be the height of the high roof that we wanted to build. And we started with a plan, but we actually changed as we moved on. If you see the example that we said collaboration, actually we started changing the plan, right? And we made some good changes. For example, one of the rooms that we want to construct in the ground floor, we decided that okay, let's actually move up. When we started building a structure, we said okay, why don't we just move up one floor on top of one of the rooms so that we have a private room, right? That was actually responding to change. If I wouldn't have responded to change, I would have just gone ahead with the initial plan, I wouldn't have got the house what I wanted. Yeah? So it's good to have a plan, it's good to start with a plan, and have a high-level plan, not a very detailed plan, and then start responding to change as we move forward. There are a lot of things that change around over a period, so we have to respond to the change. Yeah? So let me just reiterate those 4 statements: individuals and interactions over process and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding change over following a plan. Okay? So I hope this kind of helps you in understanding the Agile Manifesto.